Hi, I'm Melon Dash, founder of Miracle Swimming and Miracle Swimming School for Adults. Today, I'd like to talk about the importance of deep water competence in learning to swim. Do you agree that learning to swim includes being able to take care of yourself in water over your head? Imagine being at a hotel and walking past the pool in the morning on the way to breakfast as you go to the restaurant at the hotel, and you pass about a handful of adults in the deep end chatting, having conversation, and you have breakfast and you come back past the pool and they're all still there having a conversation in the deep end. Can these people swim? You didn't see them do laps, you didn't see them swim a stroke, but they've been in the deep water for the whole time for your breakfast. Or let's say you walk down the street and you ask everybody you see if they can swim. And some people say yes, and some people say no. But would you know if they can swim by what they said? No, not because you don't know if they're lying or not, but because people have different definitions of what knowing how to swim means. We all know what swimming is, and we know what the definition of swimming is, but what is the definition of I can swim? What is the definition of learn to swim? When masters coaches, or I can speak for myself, when people come to try out for a master's team, in my experience, and they say, yes, I can swim, they take off from the shallow end and they head out toward the deep end. And right at the drop off, they make a hard right and swim to the side. They have done freestyle-ish for half a pool, and that's all she wrote. And I say, I thought you said you could swim. And they say, I can, until I get to deep water. They think that doing this is knowing how to swim. It's not, is it? If they can't take care of themselves in water over their head, they don't know how to swim. They might know how to stroke, but apparently they don't know how to breathe. So they don't know how to stroke either. They just know how to move their arms like this. That's not learning to swim. People have passed swimming tests by doing 25 yards, getting to the other end, and being checked off a list. And they have been thinking all their lives, even though there's a little snag in the back of their head saying, really? Thinking, I passed my swimming test, I guess I can swim. But they know in their heart of hearts that they don't know what their friends and neighbors who can hang out all day in deep water know. Many kids who take swimming lessons have had so much exposure to swimming in their backyard pools or on family vacations that when they come to swimming lessons, they already know how to swim. And now they just have to learn strokes. They don't have to learn them, but that's what their parents have in mind. And that's what the teachers have in mind too. But many kids don't know anything about the water when they come. And they are taught in pools that are over their head, but the instructor can stand in chest deep water. And the kids push off the wall and swim to the teacher. The teacher helps them or teaches them something, and the kids swim back. So kids learn to swim by working between the wall and the teacher, never really noticing that the water is deep for them. However, if you take the same curriculum and apply it to adults, adults are in chest deep water also. And if they swim someplace in the pool, they don't have to be over their heads, and they won't be over their heads. The ones who are not afraid in water, those people can already swim, and they just need to learn strokes. But the people who are afraid in water, they cannot learn with the curriculum that children learn with. They need to know how to be comfortable and competent in water over their heads. So teaching adult lessons with a child's curriculum doesn't work for people who are afraid. And this is something that all swimming instructors need to know if they're teaching adults. Who is somebody who can swim to you? A couple of years ago, we had a conversation on LinkedIn, one of the LinkedIn forums. I don't remember which one it was, but it was a pretty big forum and a lot of people were participating. And there was one swim instructor who said, no, if my student can swim the length of the pool, she can swim. And I said, well, can she stop in the middle and rest? And she said, no. And I said, well, who is somebody who can't swim? If she can swim, who's somebody who can't swim? And she really didn't have an answer. She said, I know what you mean, but, well, who is it that can't swim? If you saw somebody swimming in deep water and they were struggling, is that a person who can swim? If you saw somebody in the deep end and they were always at the wall and they never left the wall and they wouldn't leave the wall and they couldn't leave the wall and they said they weren't going to leave the wall, is that somebody who can swim? If they made a mad dash to the other side, but they couldn't stop in the middle, is that somebody who can swim? No. These people need to know how to rest peacefully and water over their head for as long as it's needed so that they can be safe in water over their head. They need to be free. They need to be as at ease as you and I are. So I'd like to ask you, when you teach people to swim and they leave your lessons and they say, I can swim now, do they have the right idea? When we taught kids, for those few times that we taught them, sometimes we would have kids so happy at the end of class, they'd run out of class saying, I can swim, I can swim. And if they weren't kids that were in deep water playing, we would say to them gently, you're learning to swim, but you can't swim yet. When you can hang out down there and play in that part of the pool for a whole afternoon or for 10 minutes, then you can say, I can swim. Right now, you're still learning to swim and you're doing a great job. We need to let people have the right idea. When they take your classes, if they can't swim and they're adults, they know they can't swim. So tell them the truth. Say, well, you're on your way. You wouldn't want them to think, and you wouldn't want to not address this, but you wouldn't want to think that you think now they can swim. A lot of people who can swim think they can't. A few years ago, I was giving a talk at Toastmasters, and after the talk, a woman came up to me and said, I always thought I couldn't swim, but now I know I just don't know strokes. I can swim, I can be in deep water, I can jump off a boat, I am fine out there, but I don't know how to do freestyle correctly, I don't know how to do the breathing. Well, what a great piece of news it was for her to find out that yes, she can think of herself as somebody who can swim now. And we want people to have that advantage. And of course, we want people to also have the advantage of knowing that just because they can do this, it doesn't mean that they can swim. With that advantage, they are now safer than if they thought they could swim. Okay, do you agree with this? We teach people to swim, and the test for whether they can swim or not is to rest peacefully in deep water, 10 feet away from the walls, and probably for 10 minutes. We like to do 10 minutes. And if they can do that, 10 minutes is, they stop because they're bored, not because they have to stop. If somebody can do that, they can swim. I'd like to show you our video of the end of class when people have learned to swim. And you tell me which of these people can swim.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. So of the 5 people, 3 of them stayed in the deep end and started playing around. 2 swam to the side. How many would you say can swim? Actually, all of them can swim. They just didn't know the camera was going to keep running. But people who can't swim make a mad dash back to the wall, if they will even jump in without a teacher being right there. And we really don't want them to. In my swim school, we don't want them to jump in if they're afraid. So this is something I'd like you to consider, something to take back to your swimming schools, something that's part of water safety. If we want to end drowning in the United States, around the world, we have to have a standard that's a common standard we're all using for the definition of I can swim. And that definition has to include deep water competence. If it doesn't, what are we really teaching them? So let's start a new thing. Let's say that swimming lessons goal is for every person who takes lessons to end up being free and competent and confident in water over their heads. And if they don't, they're not done, and they need some lessons that particularly will teach them how to be that. And then they can say, I'm safe in water, I can swim. Thanks for joining me today.